Hey, this is Finnegan Bell from Love Ghost, and you are watching Concerts That Made Us.
Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Welcome to the podcast, Concerts That Made Us. Interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down. The greatest live shows and the cheering crowd sound. It's concerts that made us, concertsthatmadeus.com.
Finnegan, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure being on the show.
It's great to have you now. I'm looking forward to diving into your music. Now, first off, you just released the Love Ghost and Skold album. How did this collaboration with Tim Skold come about?
Yeah, it's really surreal, especially because I still am a massive fan of Tim Skold's music. Ever since I was a teenager, I was really into Marilyn Manson, and then I found Tim Skold, and it's really crazy. So basically, I met Tim Skold at the Viper Room on Halloween night in 2022, and I just asked to take a picture with him as a fan, and I posted that picture on my Instagram, and actually his wife, Erin, who is also his manager, saw that picture and listened to some of my music and kind of really pushed him to, hey, you should make a song with this kid. He's cool, and it's pretty amazing. So we made a song together called Payback, and then from that we actually got a whole record deal to make an album with Metropolis Records, and it was just one of those things that was really good timing, really fortunate timing, and sometimes things just work out. It was super cool. Now the whole album came out a few days ago, and I'm just really excited. I'm really proud of the music that me and him created together. I think it's really unique and really special, and here it is.
Man, that's like, something of a movie. It's almost like winning the lotto or something. That's a crazy story.
Yeah, right. Super crazy story. I think that's a good way to put it. It could be like there's a Love Ghost biopic in it. It could be one of the scenes. Yeah, for sure.
Very true, very true. Now, when it comes to the music itself, Tim has said in the past that you deliberately tried not to have a specific sound. I mean, when you're making music, is that almost like an impossible task? Does it make it harder?
I think that if you like overthink it, definitely it can be really hard. But if you're just trying to keep yourself entertained and just choose, little creative things that you think sound interesting and unique and good, then it can be cool. And also, since me and Tim are from different generations, we definitely have different influences, and we're able to kind of ping pong those influences off of each other and create something that's very unique. And yeah, that's kind of how it was. We just tried to create music that was different.
And what was the actual dynamic like between you two when it got down to actually working on it?
Yeah, for sure. It flowed effortlessly, I'd say, for the most part. We worked really well together in the studio. He would constantly be sending me ideas for music, and I would write lyrics. And sometimes, like, we would come in together maybe like an hour or two before, and we would just start playing on a guitar with each other and kind of start fleshing out the idea for a song. There was no really specific formula or plan. It would just kind of just come together naturally. As like so much of writing music for me has always just kind of been this sort of subconscious, intuitive process, and I'd say the same was true for this album. I definitely really listen to any advice or tip that he had because he's created so much music that I love. So anything that I could learn from him in terms of the methods of songwriting, I was really attentive to because I definitely he definitely has a lot of wisdom when it comes to audio production and songwriting, and I tried to absorb as much as that as I possibly could.
I could imagine. I could imagine. Now, I'm sure there's listeners and viewers out there wondering, is there any memorable moments from recording and production that you can share with us?
Yeah, for sure. I think that, like that track, Space Dust, that was, I remember first it was an acoustic guitar song that Tim came up with and he showed it to me, and yeah, I really loved it. And then eventually it was transitioned to an organ, that piece, that part, the acoustic guitar part, and I thought that, that was really unique and special, and kind of creating that song just felt sort of magical. It's one of the more soft songs. It's a ballad on it. Some of the songs are more so heavy, and I think that just I totally remember that night. It was kind of like a cold December night, and the song really captures those emotions. It's a piece of time.
Yeah, yeah, I gotcha. I gotcha. Is there going to be an album number two? Will there be more collaboration between the two of you?
I really hope so. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I hope so.
I like it. I like it. You're being a bit coy with your answer there. And you
It's
mentioned that you recently signed with Metropolis Records. What does this mean for your future?
Yeah, so basically for now it was an album contract, so it's for this album. Now the album is out. And we're pushing it, and we'll see what happens next. It's been a pleasure to work with them so far. They've really helped me a lot. They've got me a lot of really cool opportunities. They've been awesome to work with. So I guess now we'll just see what the what the next steps are. But it's been a blast. It's been incredible.
I like it. I like it. Do you think this whole experience is kind of going to have an effect on your sound? You know, your own work going forward. Do you think any of this will bleed into it?
I think so. I think absolutely. I just think that I've learned so much from being around Tim Skold, um, working with Metropolis Records, and I think that my music in the future, I've learned I think a good blend of being able to work on music in a methodical, logical place and also off of instinct. I think that for a long time I was just running off of instinct and emotion as opposed to really, getting into the science of audio engineering, getting into the really just the science of music overall. Like every single note is a frequency, is a wavelength, and that's something that me and Tim would talk about kind of from a scientific perspective. And I think that going into the future with this knowledge, it'll absolutely influence my songwriting for the future.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Now, before we move on to some concert related questions, for any listeners or viewers not familiar, can you give us a bit of a brief history of Love Ghost?
Sure, absolutely. So I actually started the project when I was super young. I was about 13 or 14 years old, and initially I started the project because yes, the name is a bit of an oxymoron, but really for me it was what my mind was thinking about the most was love and death, or love and the afterlife, and those two concepts. And I was writing a lot of music about one or the other topic. And I think still to this day, I'm writing about generally those topics. So basically, I just really felt that that encapsulated my kind of creative alter ego when it came to writing songs. So I started this project called Love Ghost. Um, At first, it was a band, and I kind of just played wherever I could, coffee shops, on the street, in people's backyards. And eventually, the band kind of broke up, and then new members came in, and then those members left, and then new members came in. And then eventually, I decided that this is just a really like a conceptual project. There is no Love Ghost. It's both a band and a solo project. It's both an idea and a physical thing. And that's kind of what Love Ghost is. And then yeah, so basically during the pandemic, I started really focusing on my YouTube. Now I have like 150,000 subscribers on YouTube, and a lot of the comments were in Spanish, so I started focusing a lot on doing collaborations with Latin artists. And I'm from Los Angeles, but I moved down to Mexico, and I go there back and forth. And yeah, and I write a lot of music in Mexico. I perform a lot in Mexico. Actually, just next week on December 6th. I have a concert in Monterey at a venue called Cafe Iguana. It's like a pretty big, famous, iconic venue in Monterey, Mexico. And yeah, just for me, that's kind of where a lot of my fan base and love has been coming from. That's one thing that I kind of tell to people that are starting music projects. If you notice that there's buzz in a certain place, but that's the beauty of the internet, right? People can discover your music in South Africa, they can discover it in Ireland, they can discover it in Texas, or wherever it may be. If you kind of notice that, focus on it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I have to ask, you made me think of something similar with the podcast. Where's the weirdest place you've noticed someone listens to your music? Because I know there's like one guy in Yugoslavia or something that listens to this podcast, and I just think it's the weirdest location ever for this podcast, you know?
That's funny. Yeah. Um, I'm not sure. I mean, like one thing that like Love Ghost does have like a kind of like a small following in Turkey, which is
Oh,
super random. I've never been to Turkey. Honestly, I don't know that much about Turkey. I like their food. I like their kebabs and stuff like that. But I think that's pretty unique. Maybe the Love Ghost Istanbul concert will happen in the future. Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Right. The podcast is called Concerts That Made Us. So I have to ask you some concert related questions. First off, as a
Uh,
concert
what
as
is
a
it?
concert goer, what concerts would you say have made you?
Suicide Boys, Lemmy from Motorhead, Bones, one of my favorite rappers of all time, and Smashing Pumpkins. There's four.
I like it. I like it. I'm with you on the Smashing Pumpkins. I seen them this year myself and they just blew me away. I've always wanted to see them.
Yeah, absolutely. They're so great live, and Billy Corgan really puts on a show. It's full. It's kind of like a theater piece almost.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there a show you've been to that maybe listeners to your music would be surprised you've been at?
Um, hmm. I Actually, you probably know this artist in Ireland at Whelan's in Dublin. I went to see Mundy multiple times. I'm actually friends with Mundy on Instagram, and I played a show with him in Los Angeles. I opened up for him. That's kind of like a hidden Love Ghost like gem, like a fact. And then yeah, a few days earlier, I actually played a show upstairs in one of the smaller rooms at Whelan's. But yeah, I'd say that's Whelan's in Dublin with watching Monday. That was a
Wow.
great show.
I wasn't expecting that now. I really like that. Crazy. And for
Absolutely.
any listeners that haven't been lucky enough to catch one of your shows, what are they like? Give us the full experience if you can.
Yeah, so they are exciting. They're chaotic. I work really hard on trying to make sure all the technicals are absolute, so there's no issues as the concert goes on. There's always lots of parts that are moving during concerts, but really I just try to connect to what the songs are about so I can articulate that message with the fans. And if you're someone that sees Love Ghost in yourself, if you're someone that relates to these lyrics, then I think that you'll be able to experience that connection even deeper in a live setting. So if you're someone that connects to the lyrics, I think that hearing it live will really drive it home for you.
Pretty cool. Sounds like a good show. And is out of all the shows you've played over your career, is there one that sits above the rest? You know, it just couldn't have got any better.
Yeah, there's been I played a couple of really, really cool shows. One show that I played that was really cool was actually a festival in Ecuador, and it's called Festival FFF. It was at a college, it's like a university, I think, outside. And I just remember right before it was a perfect sunny day, but right before we started playing, it just started pouring rain. And I was like, oh no, like this is outside. I came all the way down here. This is like gonna be kind of like a disaster. This is like what are the odds? Just like horrible weather. And then instead, what happened is once we started playing, just like 1,000 kids came running down this hill, and all these like Ecuadorian kids, and they were kind of just like moshing in the rain and the mud and like in this field, and it just made me like really excited, like almost tearful. It was like
Oh,
one of the first ever was the first ever big show that I've ever played at, and I'd say that was probably like just one show that really stuck with me.
oh man. Oh man. Here's a bit of a fun one. The opposite. Is there a show where you would consider the worst? You know, everything went wrong, and how did you overcome it?
Oh my God, yes, definitely. There's been shows like that. I mean I've definitely played shows before where the promotion wasn't good and like just not a lot of people show up. I played shows before where there's technical difficulties and you kind of have to stop in the middle of the show and it's like super awkward and like whatever. But I'd say that, they kind of the only way to go through it is just you kind of just have to plow through it, maybe like tell a joke on stage and try to make it funny. Because I kind of feel like if you feel awkward on stage and if you feel and you like say something like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," blah, 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 like it's like the audience is gonna feed off of that and they're gonna be like, "Oh, maybe this is awkward. Maybe this is like a weird event. This is if you make it funny and fun, then being able to roll with the punches is a lot easier for sure."
Very true, actually. I like that outlook. Yeah. And when it comes to showtime, then your pre-show and your post-show, how do you psych yourself up? And then afterwards, how do you like to wind down?
Yeah, so beforehand, I don't like to eat much the day of a show. I don't like the anxiety that comes with it. And also I don't like something about the hunger just kind of makes me feel like a little bit more motivated, a little bit more focused throughout the day. So usually I'll eat breakfast and that's it. And then but I'll eat like a small breakfast and usually something like healthy. I like to meditate. I always do vocal warm-ups beforehand. And I think that a lot of times I also try to just like sometimes I'll just try to envision in my head like a really good show and what I want it to be like, and then I hope that it's like that during that night. That's kind of what my pre-show ritual is. My post-show ritual for winding down is honestly just talking to the audience. I like to go out, talk to people, take pictures with them, shake hands, just kind of like a big confidence booster. And also I feel like to me, like it lets the people that came to support you know that you care about them, which is cool. So I like to do that. And also it's fun.
True, true. It's a nice segue into the next question, actually. I was going to ask, is there any fan or audience interactions that kind of stick with you to this day?
Absolutely. There's several. I my fan slash friend Jax painted a really realistic painting of me, and That was super cool. I love it when people like draw me or um, paint me. My fan Eric Castillo in Minnesota, he would always send me these little kind of like sort of dolls and items that were super unique and kind of interesting, and you would create them too. It was super cool. I remember I played a show in Mexico at Auditorio Blackberry that a fan gave me a bunch of like rare chocolate from Latin America, and that was super cool. I think that kind of like when people give like gifts or make like t-shirts, just that's super unique. That's super cool. So I like stuff like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And before we dive into the last couple of questions, then future plans set in stone. What can you share with us?
Yeah, so set in stone. In February, there's going to be a tour in Mexico. Stay tuned for the details. Like I said, December 6th, I have a concert at Cafe Iguana in Monterrey, and everything else is kind of still in the works. But there's going to be a lot of new music in 2025. We're going to hit the ground running, new music videos as well. So just keep your eyes peeled. Comment on the Instagram and the YouTube to stay in the algorithm, and there you go.
I like it. I like it. How long realistically do we have to wait to get you back over to Europe?
Potentially, I'll be in the UK in March. It's not official yet, but there's a good percentage that I'll be there in March. So yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Something to look forward to. So we'll dive into the last couple of questions. There are a couple of fun random ones. First off, besides music, what are you currently obsessed with?
I'd say I had a thing with reptiles for a while. I was going to reptile conventions. Like I really like the blue-tongued skinks, like this like unique lizard. I was thinking about getting one for a pet. I'm actually in the process of moving. And I move next month. So I think that next month I will, once I like get situated in my place, I might get like a pet lizard. That would be pretty sick.
Pretty
Besides
cool.
that, yeah, exactly. I am kind of low key obsessed with uh the the Denver Broncos new quarterback. I like Bo Nix. He's exciting. So I've been watching him play a lot.
I like it. I like it. The next one, it's a bit strange. If you had to spend 24 hours locked in a room with any musician from history, who would it be?
Hmm. From history, I'd say Tupac or like Tupac or Kurt Cobain. I'd say that would be preferably both at the same time.
I was
So
just
I'd want to
thinking
see how
yeah,
they would.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, be a good 24 hours. And the final one, so what's your go-to album? An album you constantly revisit?
Hmm. I'd probably say "Come Over When You're Sober" by Lil Peep. I listen to that album a lot, so I'd say that one.
Brilliant. Great choice. Great choice. Finnegan, listen, this has been an absolute blast now. Thanks a million.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Have a good one.
Welcome to the podcast, conscience that made us. Interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down. The greatest live shows and that cheering crowd sound. It's concerts, concerts that made us, concerts that made us.com.